Sounds good. I'll make sure to roast you real hard.
All right,
So,
good.
yeah, same as usual. It'll be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about.
Give me your best shot. Go.
Yeah, good bubble on your Ryan there.
Myself, so I went behind the pillar. I didn't notice that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me put the bubble up, and then they can't shoot me.
Right. So there, Reiner just kind of happened to fire strike us after we bubble, but make sure that when we're bubbling ourselves, that's when people are kind of looking at us and shooting at us. Because here we bubble when it's Diva and Reinhardt, and Diva's out of range and Reinhardt's out of range. So the only way we're actually taking any damage here is if Reinhardt throws a fire strike, and since it's a projectile, we're just better off using our bubble after he's already thrown it rather than hoping that he throws it and then that it'll happen to be at us, right? So
Yeah.
here, just remembering, bubble when people can see us and shoot at us. Though I do like the frequency in which we're using them. We're using them very often. Quantity is definitely important. Quality though is almost just that step above in even more being even more important than
Yeah.
quantity.
Group up here. Barrier activated.
Okay, so now we're high energy. Okay. Make sure they're looking at the right people we're shooting at. So like we notice here like a little bit of like we stopped shooting here a little bit when we could be shooting, and then here we see Lucio's on the left, and Lucio would be a very easy target to finish off just because how he's so far out in the open and
Yeah.
does not have any cover and is very far away from his team. Right, so Lucio would be a very easy target to finish off here, and then Soldier is also going to run on the left there if you see him. Right, so
Yeah.
once again, Soldier would be a very easy target for you to finish off. But instead we're looking at their tanks, which just aren't going to be the very effective targets to be looking at. Right, so there we do swap away from the diva, so that's good. Let's actually look back at that for half a second. Actually, I'm gonna retract that statement because look at what diva's HP is on the top left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe in the past we've already gone extensively into the target priority. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so here we can, base off of target priority, right? Tanks aren't where we want to be focusing, but there's exceptions for when Diva's 1 HP, right? So far, target priority is a little bit out of whack during this fight. Making sure we're looking at people when they're 1 HP, making sure we're not looking at the tanks when they're full HP, and there's other free targets to be shooting at.
I need healing.
Good request of
Okay.
healing, that's a good idea.
Barriers on you.
Good bubble in your Reinhardt, though personal bubble, not so much, right? Nobody's really even looking at us.
Victory. Огонь по готовности.
Got 8.
Oh. Yep,
Yeah.
just make sure you're keeping your eyes on the diva because she kind of was just. Oh, she actually did just flash it there. That's unfortunate. Make sure you're keeping your eye on her, and when you are using it, there's ways that you can look to avoid the diva, right? You can look to demech her. You can wait until she's dead. You can do it when she's outside of range. Notice that she has I believe, 10-meter range on her. That looks about right. Yeah, 10 meters on her defense matrix. So if we're like right here, we could grab at the floor and be fine. Other ways that you can make it harder for Diva to eat is doing it like on around corners where Diva can't really see you, so she can't be ready for it as easily, right? Like if you're right here and you pop your ult, well, Diva can't really see it very easily. Right. Additionally, you can do it very close to something like a wall or the floor, which will make it so that there's less travel distance, which can make it harder for her to eat it because, it's going to connect and instantly go into the grab. All right, so you have a lot of different options. I'd recommend going for some of those to make it harder.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I kind of shot it towards the floor by Lucio's feet because I was really trying to grab him, but it caught the corner of that when she flashed it. I really didn't expect her to catch it, to be honest, but
Yeah, so it's just
she
making
did.
sure we're
She
keeping
nabbed
our
it.
eye on it. Now, additionally, I think Grav is completely fine to be using this fight, but probably going for more than just Lucio, because almost never is a single person Grav useful, right? Like
Yeah.
it's only ever going to be useful if it's like an nano blading Genji, and that's about it, right? That's like one of the only times where solo grabbing a target is actually useful. So you want to be going for 2 as a very minimum, and then 3 plus is usually preferable.
Barriers on me. Go. Barrier activated. Barriers on me. Go. Огонь по готовности. Barriers on me. Go. Barrier activated.
Remember, right clicks at that. So we've gone over Zarya in the past, right? Like we've gone over all
Yeah.
this stuff. So just making sure that we've covered all these bases, because it has been a little bit since we've done sessions, and then even longer since we've gone over Zarya. If I'm just scrolling up
Yeah,
at the
that's
moment.
true.
Yeah. So it's been a good. From what I'm scrolling up through, last time we did it was the 07. So that was a long little while ago. About 3 months or so, or 3.5 months. So as reminders here, then, right, is when we're right next to people, we shouldn't be right clicking unless it's to finish them off, right? We right click when we're outside of range of left click, or if we're finishing somebody off who's low HP. So here, right clicking into this into the Mercy there doesn't really do a ton. You know what? Actually, I might retract this statement a little bit, because it looks like we might be doing that because we're trying to get a last little burst. Trying
Before
to
we
think.
run out. Yeah, before we run out of ammo.
Before you run out of ammo, though we did use it when we are like 22 ammo. So not terrible. Still might recommend going lower before you're right clicking. So that's yes, you can do right click like when you're on one ammo or so, right? Something around that, and then that gets you a nice little burst of damage, since it still gives you your full right click even though you have 1 ammo. But in that situation, we did do it when we were like 22 still.
Dein Schutzengel ist da. I'm under attack. Give me your best.
There, you could honestly probably like push D.Va there, because you have 3 other teammates here with you, and you have Bubble. You're not really under very much pressure, so probably could have demeched her there. So make sure that we're like, this is a situation, right, when we're looking at aggression scaling, where we have an opportunity, right? D.Va being 1 HP in purple is an opportunity, and then therefore our aggression scaling with no other things dragging it down, such as we're not at disadvantages, we're not at lack of resources, right? With nothing else dragging it down, off of that opportunity, we should be getting up to like a 90, 100%, right? Just running into the D.Va so we can finish her off, but instead we backed up and played passive, right? So making sure we're watching that, looking to capitalize on opportunities when we see them, and yep, that's it.
Maximum charge. Healing stream engaged. Ready for battle.
Okay, personal self-bubbling there does, firstly, we use it when it wouldn't have even done anything, because we're so far back and nobody's looking
We
at
also
us,
have high
nobody's shooting
energy.
at us. And then yep, exactly, you got that one. We're high energy, so we don't even need to be using it personally, and it'd be much more useful if we actually save it for when it is needed, since we're high energy already here, right?
Yeah.
So definitely want to be holding on to that one. Very nice, Bubble. Do that bubble half a second faster, and you probably actually stop the shatter.
Yeah.
Though still very nice Bubble, good
I
timing
think it
with
blocked me from getting
Yeah,
shattered.
that was weird. It stopped.
Yeah, like I feel
That's
like I got it
wonky.
before. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is actually weird, because it got on 2 and Reinhardt.
Yeah.
That is weird. All right. So what must have happened was it went up, shattered Reinhardt, and then because it's traveling, your bubble happened after it hit Reinhardt, and then while it's traveling, it stopped it. Right? Does that kind
Yeah.
of make sense? So
Yeah, and
yeah,
it only got the path to me and
yeah.
Silver, not to Anna.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was still a really good bubble. Notice that we don't bubble to save ourselves from bomb here,
Yep.
because
Yep. And if
of the
we
fact that we
had
sit.
saved it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Also making sure we're looking to use cover here. Might be, yeah, honestly, there's not a lot of cover here, but like instead of sitting smack dab here, maybe we could have been approaching more so from like the left side, or we could have been like here. The situation is not a lot of places you can go. That's a really good bomb placement. Maybe we could have backed up around the corner, but I'd say our best bet was being like closer to the left side here. But besides that, main one is personal bubble is the big issue.
Give me an
The most glaring mistake there.
Yeah.
Don't back up when you still bubble up. Wait for people to be shooting at you. Okay, we're pushing high ground for something here.
Yeah, it was a little calm snafu there. Like take the high ground. Nobody did. Nobody wanted to do that.
Get in there.
Uh-oh. Here we are having a lack of awareness.
Yeah, I saw him charge in there. I should have
Yeah.
turned on him.
Yeah, 100%. So remember that we've talked about this in the past, that when it comes to the target priority, so just give you a reminder on it, target priority, we shoot at the easiest things to kill. That means that typically tanks are not the easiest things to kill. They're very difficult to kill. But when a tank is 1 HP, well, then they become very, very easy targets to kill, right? So if you're talking a 10 HP Reinhardt, that's a much easier target to kill than a soldier or someone else, right? Whereas a full HP Reinhardt, definitely much harder to kill. Same thing with somebody being on a position. This is a much, much easier target to kill than even soldier right now. Even though soldier and Reinhardt soldier typically is a easier target to kill than Reinhardt. The circumstances make it so that Reinhardt is much easier to kill here, right? And it's basically him just feeding you a free kill. So we want to be turning around and helping out with that.
Ready for battle.
Noting that we're right clicking within range again there. Okay. Noting that we're solo grabbing here, right? So rather than solo grabbing, wait for people to group up and then grab. In fact, we have a 3-man grab right here if we look 2 inches to the side, right? So make sure we're not getting caught up on solo grabbing, but we're looking for as many people as possible, because when we get one person to grab, that's not really honestly a ton of value. We might not even be able to kill the person because they just get pocketed by everybody else who is outside of the grab. Whereas if we grab everybody outside of the grab, well, now if we grab everybody, that's so much more value. So let's say, for example, a 3-man grab isn't just 3 times better than a 1-man grab. That's probably closer to like 4 times better, because you have increased value. They're all going to have less survivability, and then when they all have less survivability, that means that you're able to get so many more kills. So it's kind of exponential, where you get more value by having more people. It's not just simple addition, right? It's kind of multiplication there. So that means that if we get like a 6-man grab, that's not just a 6 times value. You're not just getting 6 times the value of one person. It's more like 10 times the value, right? So we want to make sure that we are getting higher value grabs. And then another thing to consider is the fact that squishier targets are going to be easier to kill than tanks, right? So one Reinhardt who can hold up his shield and has armor and has 500 HP, well, not right now, he doesn't, but does in general have 500 HP and can get pocketed by supports very easily, is going to be much more difficult to kill than a Soldier, Mercy, and Baby Diva, who all of which have 200 or less HP and no tanking and are probably going to get melted, right?
Yeah.
Огонь по готовности. 60 seconds. Barrier is on you. Go.
Right click melee. Make sure we're watching for those reses. Now we might, yeah, we probably honestly could have stopped it. Like, we probably could have killed her, and not let her res there. So make sure that we are watching the Mercy, because then she gets the free res up. Whereas if we're paying attention and we shoot at Mercy and kill her, well, now we stop the res and get a free kill. So anytime that they're on a Mercy, we want to actively be looking and watching for the Mercy to go for the res, because if we don't, then she gets away for it for free. So remembering that team composition dictates playstyle. When they're on Mercy, we watch for dead bodies. When they're not, we don't really have to worry about it, right? So here we want to be watching for it so that they don't get away with it for free, and then we even get a free kill out of it too.
Gotcha.
Barrier activated.
Okay, so I'm noticing sometimes we're not having like proper reload habits. So remember that you want to be reloading just anytime you have the opportunity 2. Just anytime there's nothing to be shooting at, or there's nothing to do, or you'd be better off reloading, you want to reload because then you have ammo for when you actually need it. So think, for example, right here, Lucio just beats, right, and gives them all 1,000 HP, right? Lucio comes in and beats, and Mercy, if you go to her perspective, has 700 HP. Is your beam gonna do very much here if you're trying to beam down Mercy? Are you gonna be able to
Sorry,
kill her?
I was muted for a second.
Yeah, you're good.
No, I'm not gonna be able to push through 700 HP.
Yeah. So in this
Very quickly.
situation, rather than just draining our beam down for not really accomplishing very much and then being at 39 ammo by the time their beat has run out, we wanted to have reloaded immediately and waited until their beat has run out a little bit before we're starting to shoot, or looking for somebody else like Reinhardt whose beat ran out much faster because people shot at him, right? So in this situation, that'd be an example of where we could have reloaded and we didn't, right? So make sure we're watching that. I've noticed a couple of those. Right click to finish off. Just remembering that we can right click melee, and it's a really good way to burst people down when they're low HP.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Objective A captured. Escort the
Oh, did we try to bubble soldier?
I think so. Yeah.
I guess we were pressing it after he was dead already.
Yeah, I think I tried to press it around the corner there, but I don't know if it
Give me your best shot.
just the wall was in the way.
Turret ahead.
Gotta watch out for them pesky walls poking out.
I am moving the payload. Fall in with me. Enemy turret eliminated.
Okay. Bad bubble that we leads into good bubble, right? Notice when we activate
Enemy
it,
turret eliminated.
one single Lucio is looking at us, right?
Yep.
Probably not gonna be getting very much energy off of one single Lucio. Then we turn the corner and soldier happens to helix us, and everybody shoots damage at us, which makes into good bubble. Right now is a good bubble because you have 3 people looking at you and shooting at you, which is different than one single Lucio, who is probably not gonna be doing very much damage to you, right? So that's the difference between the two. So we kind of walk into it, but it's initially bad. Be reloading because you were just backed up around that corner, so we don't want to be coming into the fight at 46. Nothing super major, but it's something to keep your eyes on. It's going to prevent you from getting a kill. Okay, we're kind of like half backing up with that bubble. Right, so notice how we bubble ourselves, but then we're backing up like halfway through it.
Helden sterben nicht.
All right.
Keep this moving.
So a couple things. Firstly, we probably could bubble that Reinhardt before he actually was out of our line of sight. Secondly, Molten Core's not gonna do enough damage to kill you if you take 1 second to walk across it. I believe Molten Core's damage, if I remember correctly, is like 120 damage a second, right? So that or DPS, damage per second. So that means that if we were to take, 1 second to walk across this, we'd be down just a fourth of our HP. It's not necessarily something that would stop us from just pushing to the side to be able to see Reinhardt, right? The other thing is that we can make this easier if we just look at the ground and hop over it, right? And with a kind of rocket jump. We talked about how to do that last time.
Oh yeah.
Remember, yeah. So that would also just get you over that while taking less damage as well. You probably could just flat up clear this entire thing if you just do that, right? And then that gets you within range of Reinhardt. Reinhardt's dead here. There's no questioning that.
Yeah.
But that at very minimum gets you a bunch of energy, right?
Let's keep this moving.
And then we're getting a little bit over aggressive here. After we saw the Reinhardt died, we're just kind of sprinting into them. A lot of right clicks when we're within range of left click, right? Another grab gets eaten. Typically you're not going to want to lob grabs in. That's not going to be very effective, right? When we lob grabs, that's how they get eaten very easily. The other thing is to make sure that this is, again, team composition dictates playstyle. When they're on a diva, we got to watch for her to eat grab. When they're on a Sigma, we got to watch for them to eat grab. If they're on a Genji, we got to watch for them to deflect grab, though that's a lot less probable. Same with Sigma. Sigma eating your grab is less probable than D.Va eating it, right? And then Genji's even less probable than that. But we still need to be actively watching for those guys. When they do not have those characters, it doesn't even need to be part of our consciousness that they have something that can just flat up make our grab disappear, right?
Yeah.
Then we have to worry about making sure people are grouped up and making sure it doesn't get caught on anything, but we don't have to worry about it disappearing. Right now, we do have to worry about it disappearing. So, all the ways that we said, right, to pay attention to, we want to be paying attention to. So, not lugging it across this very big distance. Right now, that's like 15 meters. Doing it across 15 meters means it's going to be midair for like a second to a second and a half, something like that, which can make it so that D.Va has a lot more time to react and eat it. Right. Additionally, we have options such as, like I said, put it on a corner, wait till she's not, like, you can just do it when she's not looking at you. You could do it while she's distracted, while she's doing something else. You can do it in between her defense matrix usages, because when she puts it down, she's gonna have a delay before she can put it back up. Look at this. If we go to her perspective, look at her bottom right. She just put it down. It's going to be on I believe a 2-second cooldown, right? So she used it. Oh yes, it's one. I believe is it just 1 second?
I
All right,
think
so
so.
it's also 1 second, right? So you have a 1 second period of time where the moment she puts it down, you can fire a grab through, and she can't immediately put up defense matrix to eat it, right? Which just leads to a free grab, right? Additionally, you can do it when she's all out of defense matrix, right? Here, she doesn't have any defense matrix because she used it all up, or right 5 seconds ago, right? She used all the defense matrix up, right? So if we did it literally half a second after this, we would have gotten a free grab, right? Because she used all of it. So a lot of different things to be thinking through. We could grab when she bombs and she doesn't have a mech active, right? A lot of different things. Make sure we're thinking about through a couple of them so we're not getting our grab in.
Enemy turret ahead.
Alright.
1 second.
Огонь по
Yeah.
готовности.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, don't mind it. Game come out. Looks like we get a good bubble there on Reinhardt. That's good. Alright. Think one of the so we're as a quick synopsis of what we're looking at. Firstly, we're thinking about, like, we're making sure that we're getting more consistent at getting good bubbles and energy. So far, I think that we're doing much better than we were in the past, right? Where maybe we didn't have any energy. Now we are getting energy at certain points during the game, right? We have a higher average energy, but there's still times where we just sit at like 10, and then there's times where we sit at 60 where we could be higher. And then those times where we are high energy, where we are 60 plus or whatever, then the next kind of phase is making sure that we're understanding how do we actually use that energy? How do we actually get kills with it? Because step one is acquiring the energy. You can't really do anything if you don't have that energy in the first place. But if you're not using it properly, then it kind of all just goes to waste. It doesn't do anything, right? Like, for example, if you buff, like, I don't know, let's just say you buff a character and you times 5 to their damage output, but you can't hit shots and you're dead 24/7 and you're in terrible positioning, well, then you can't really do anything with that buffed character, right? It gives you the potential to be able to do things, but if you don't know how to use them properly, you're not going to be able to capitalize on the buff. So here in this situation, it's the same concept. we want to work on getting more consistent with the energy, but when we do have energy, we need to work on knowing how to actually use that. Some of that draws from making sure we have correct target priorities, right? Like where we saw we were completely out of whack at who we should have even been shooting at in a lot of these scenarios, right? Making sure that we're in proper positioning and engaging at the proper times and shooting in the proper ways and reloading, right? Oh, excuse me. All of which is going to up our productivity and allow us to actually more consistently kill people. So that's the goal as of the moment. That's what we're currently looking at.
Ready for battle.
Okay, bubbling when nobody's looking at us, shooting at us, right? Just watching for those two criterion.
Get in there. Barrier activated.
Okay, very nice bubble.
Maximum charge. 60 seconds.
Chase those guys down. They just isolated themselves. If you chase after either one of those, that's a good idea. D.Va especially, right? Look at the scenario where D.Va is like less than half HP and completely isolated by herself. You can push that, you're full HP. You have bubble in 2 seconds. You have a team support from your teammates. You are high energy. All of which are screaming at you. You win that duel, right? If you were to go in and try to duel that D.Va, you probably have a 90% chance of winning that duel, right? Which means that you probably want to take it. That's, again, an opportunity. So, recognizing those opportunities is something to work on, right? Being aware of our surroundings, and then also making sure that we're adjusting our aggression scaling off of those opportunities and actually going in and doing things, right? Because now we're high energy, but we need to actually make sure we're utilizing the high energy by pushing and going in and doing things with that said high energy.
Maximum charge.
Alright, so here we unfortunately get shattered, which is unfortunate. We have bubble active that it must have either broken to the. I think bubble might have broken to the shatter, which is unfortunate. And then we get kind of stuck there. Here, though, oh, did we get booped past that window? So we couldn't really go into the window. I think we get booped past it. That's honestly kind of unfortunate, a little bit.
Yeah, it felt like a ping pong there.
Yeah.
Just knocked around.
Ready for battle. That's more like it. Barriers on.
Okay. Notice the target priority when there is a Lucio and D.Va and a Lucio and Soldier to be shooting at. Lucio's right next to you, Soldier's right next to you. We're looking at D.Va, right? Additionally, notice the poor positioning kind of out in the open, and also lack of awareness, right? Where we kind of like walk smack dab in the middle of the open, where we can be shot at by Lucio, D.Va, Mercy, Soldier, Torbjorn, right? Basically, like anybody who chooses to come and look at us can shoot at us. Notice the positioning, lack of cover that we're using. So just cover usage, awareness, all of that jazz. Okay, now D.Va's a fine target because she's very far out of position, and you've already shot at her, so she's low.
Don't be shy. Hit me. Огонь по готовности.
Okay, so firstly, once you demech D.Va, don't just like look away. You probably want to be. Oh, I didn't mean to skip there. Once you demech D.Va, you don't want to look away. You probably want to finish her off, just because it's a very easy target to finish off, and there's no reason not to finish her off. And you want to make sure she doesn't remech. So once you get her out of mech, actually kill her. Don't let her live. Okay. Additionally, we need to analyze here. Do we actually need our grab? Are we in a losable situation? Possibly, yeah, probably. I would say that's a very fine usage of grab because currently it's a 3.5 versus 3, and Genju's 1 HP. They're visoring, they have closer spawns. So I think this is a fine situation to use grab. We also get a bunch of people in it, so that's a great grab. Very excellent play.
That one did work out.
Very nice bubbles. Okay. Do you know kind of what our goal is right now?
To maintain energy
Yeah,
and
you got it. That's exactly what I was looking for you to hear you say. Great, great, great. And we're doing that to a decent extent. Not perfect. I'd say maybe we could push forwards ourselves and get energy, but yep, there you go. A little bit more um slight thing would be, and like again, this is like some of this stuff is like, and I just want you to understand this. Some of what I'm saying here is just me throwing it out there, throwing the concepts at you just so you understand them and you can kind of grow on your knowledge. Not all of this is going to be immediately applicable where I want you to come out of the session and be going over like all 100 of these things and applying all 100 of these things, but I want them to be on your radar so you can be thinking about them and hopefully implementing them whenever possible. Because then you also have a better understanding of how to identify when you're making mistakes. So here, notice how we're bubbling and using our bubbles like right as we're pushing into the fight. Like the fight is about to begin. Like look at your Reinhardt's distance from each other, and the fight's about to begin, and now we're out of like one of our bubbles, which isn't the worst. But imagine now a different scenario where we bubbled before the fight began, and now we're coming into the fight with both of our bubbles, which is now different because now we're at 80 energy while also having two bubbles versus having 80 energy in one bubble, right? So it's just, and then sometimes that could be even worse, like if you had used both of your bubbles recently. But like, imagine like back here when we bubbled our Reinhardt, right? We bubble Reinhardt. What if we were up here with Reinhardt and we just stepped in front of him and bubbled here, right?
yeah.
That would just get you even higher in energy. And then by the time the fight begins, you have your bubbles back, right?
You're covered.
Whereas we delay a little bit, and then now we don't actually have our personal bubble for when we need it, and then as a result, we take a bunch of damage, which potentially could kill us, potentially could just cause a bunch of trouble. Noticing that we're standing like a little bit out in the open, not very bad at all. Okay. Um, Aggression, I would say, is probably a little bit lower than it should be. Like, we are half HP, yes, but we also have bubble in 3 seconds. We have cover here on the right side and healers behind us. So I just, at the moment here, I'd probably be just requesting healing and then pushing forwards here. And then there's a health pack if we need to grab it. That way we're just like able to help out our Reinhardt. Besides that, yep, just there you go. Watch the not the energy bubble when we're 80 energy. Not energy bubbles not needed. So in this situation, you want to be saving it for when it's actually needed, when you're low, when you are in danger, right? Probably preferably both, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. We've talked about that. Probably when we've gone over support, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Same thing here with the bubble, right? If we don't need to use bubble just because we're low, because we could be low and over here and be fine. But if we're low and in danger, then it's or just flat up in danger, that's probably more so when bubble is actually needed. So if I were to like quantify how our bubbles are looking at the moment, I would probably say around a fourth of your bubbles are like really good bubbles. About a fourth of them are just like, decent bubbles, pretty good. I'd say a fourth of them are like pretty meh bubbles where like, yeah, they maybe got like a tiny little bit about value. Like this last one was like more of a meh bubble where like, yeah, we got 20%, but like probably could have been better. And then and the last fourth is just like really bad bubbles where like it just did absolutely nothing and we wasted the ability.
Useless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's around where we are, which is definitely not as bad as it could be. It could be like 70% all of them are useless bubbles, right? That's I've done coaching where that's the case with people. So definitely not the worst, definitely not the best. A lot of room for improvement, right? Because we eventually want to be getting it up to the point where not of course not being perfect. We want to get up to the point where we're like 50% really good, 25% meh, or sorry, 25% good, and then 25% meh to bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
getting up much higher. Good bubble on your Genji there. Let's rewatch this for half a second. Okay. Notice how we're like a little just pushed back. Just like look at our distancing here that we're putting ourselves at when we probably want to be closer. Whenever possible, you want to be actively putting yourself within your left click range, because your left click range is your preferred range. It's where you're going to be able to do the best things, most accurate things, get the easiest kills when we're within that left click range rather than trying to snipe people with a right click. So I definitely recommend stepping up a little bit here, rather
Yeah,
than
also at
sniping from the
100
back.
energy. I think we're pretty solid on this fight here right now.
Yep. Yes, we watched the dead body, but I mean, she did it like right in front of her whole team anyways, so.
Yeah. I don't think that they're brave. They're brave, man. Mercies are brave. Sometimes you're like, what?
Gravity skill.
Tactical visor activated.
Alright. So, not too shabby last fight there. Only thing would just be a little closer. Looks like we hold pretty well here if there's only 5 minutes left. Let's go back half a moment. Alright, so we're pushed up here. We're tossing in some right clicks. Alright. Let's analyze this a little bit. So, honestly, so have we in the past discussed No Man's Land and whatnot?
Yeah.
So here in the situation, I understand what you're going for, that you want to get the spawn damage in, and I'd probably say that at any higher rank, right, you'd be completely fine doing this because other people understand the concept of No Man's Land. But I'd say in this scenario that the issue is not that you're going up to right click, but that by going up to right click, it it might confuse your team a little bit here to make them think that you want to hold here, and then therefore that means that they push up like your Reinhardt, and then that's no bueno. That's not good when they try to do that, because as we discussed with No Man's Land, this whole long thing is No Man's Land. You don't want to be holding in the middle or the front of this. Instead, you probably want to be like back here on point, right? Which would be your best
Yeah.
positioning for you to be at. So, this I don't typically say this in things. I'd say in this particular situation, this applies. Not all the time. Don't try not to bait your team forwards into bad positioning, and that's only really like if you see them go up there anyways, like you sit back here and then they just push forwards and you say, hey guys, and you say in chat like, hey guys, come back here, and they don't, then walk forwards, put your spam damage in. But other than that, I'd like initially try to set up here if possible. Higher ranks, then you can probably go and do that. And also it's going to depend on the map as well. Some maps don't really aren't as tempting to push forwards as this map is, right? So I'd say this is a very, honestly, you're not doing anything incredibly wrong here. I'm just kind of getting at like some nuances of like this might bait your team into making bad decisions even though it's a good decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that that seems to be the case. Like if you have some players in this rank that will go and get that spawn damage, and then but people are like fall back, and it's like I'm not trying to like start from here, but they were like behind the statue. That's what they wanted to.
Okay.
To
Also
be on
notice
comms.
that notice. So do you say they were saying that in chat?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is one of the ones that we were
Mm.
we had all jumped on chat after this round, so they were like hold behind the statue. But I mean,
Mhm.
I think in that situation you just kind of follow your team, or
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
the
If
whole
they're
one person
Yep.
doing something stupid
You are completely,
situation.
yes, you are completely correct. That is the right decision.
Yeah.
In this instance, though, we do push a little bit further than our team does, so keep that in mind, right? Like we are like hiding behind our team, but then all of a sudden we push up like really far past them. When maybe just sitting on that sitting back on the statue would be the better of the two evils that our team is trying to do here. The not as bad decision.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Okay, good bubbles.
Ready for battle.
Good bubbles. Okay, now we're high energy. We can do things. We're up 1 currently. We got a bubble on Reinhardt. We're up 2. We could honestly be pushing into their spawn right now if we wanted to.
Give me your best shot.
Watching the personal bubble that when we're 90 energy and not needing it. Good right clicks.
Barriers on you. Go.
Okay, once again, watch that bubble because Reinhardt is 80. Firstly, not really anybody's looking at him, and then secondly, it's not where he's going to get any value out of it.
Barrier activated.
Okay, personal bubbling when we're behind a Reinhardt, not going to really, and his shield, not going to accomplish
Yeah.
a ton. Also, not really anybody looking at us. Also, 80% energy, right? So those two bubbles, not really fantastic. So again, noting that like we had good bubbles, and then meh bubbles, and then bad bubbles.
Yeah.
Circle back.
It's just a bubble variation.
Yeah, exactly. If looks to fluctuate a ton. And then here, this probably would have been a perfect situation to bubble your Reinhardt. And we have it, so watch for that. Definitely 100% a scenario where we should be bubbling Reinhardt because he's 1 HP. Probably could end up saving his life. Okay. Notice the target priority. We're looking at Monkey when we have the option, if we so desired, to turn around and shoot a soldier, who we do not seem to notice is there. Audio awareness, right?
Yeah.
We have the option here, if we did want to push up a little bit and shoot at some of these guys back there. So just maybe on some wrong targets there.
And I think you may have told me, you may have been the one that told me I did enable 7.1 surround sound on my headset, and yeah, I can hear footsteps. So
Well,
that helps a lot.
how recent of a settings change is
Oh, it's
that one?
like I think it was 2 nights ago.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't
Yeah.
think we talked 2 nights ago, but like
No, we
if
didn't. We talked before I left. But I was
okay,
just messing with my
mm,
headset stuff because it's a wireless headset. So
yeah,
I was like messing with the software. I did some
mhm,
updates, and I was like, oh look, 7.1 Dolby surround sound. I remember.
yep.
I
Remember me
remember.
mentioning it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that does help, and it
mhm,
really does help with the sounds. Also the when people are using their alts, you can
yeah,
hear the
mhm.
voice lines better.
And you can hear it where it's coming from, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Just a scratch.
Okay,
Yeah. Bad
now I
bubble.
think we get shot from the side there, but we're bubbling when we're behind Reinhardt again. Or maybe we were poking through, I couldn't tell there.
Огонь по готовности.
Notice the lug from a distance, whereas let's say, as potential options, we could, wrap around the right here. We can go and grab, like, wait for them to turn the corner and like grab right on top of this pillar. We can wait till Diva's not looking, wait till she's out of mech. Right, we have a bunch of options, but we kind of lug it there. Besides that, really good grab.
Yeah. Wait till you see the
Yeah. Oh, Paul.
follow
All
up.
right.
He missed it.
Oh my goodness.
he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's all good, man. Um,
just screwed
just
up
shot
the
right outside.
easiest.
Yeah.
Just screwed up one of the easiest fight wins in all of Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was laughing, so it was all in good fun.
Give me your best shot.
Self bubble, so projected bubble. That's good. That's a tanking bubble, right? It's not. We didn't need the energy, but he's in the middle of going in,
Yeah, yeah.
swinging, getting really aggressive.
Mitigation.
Yep, exactly. That's a completely fine bubble. But then we're about to see a bubble in like a second here where it's not great. Firstly, noticing that we're kind of backing off here when we don't need to be backing off. Because we're getting healed by everybody and we're not really in any danger. And then if we're up here, this allows us to basically do the same thing, but we still have cover. So if we do get lower, we can, you know, we can negate damage if we need it. I probably say that's one of the bigger things I'm seeing at the moment is that
Yeah.
one of the bigger reasons why we're not able to capitalize on our damage is because we're so far back and we're playing. I'd probably say mismanagement of our aggression scaling, right?
Yeah.
So too far back distance-wise, but then also that's kind of indicative as well of our aggression scaling, where like we should probably be getting aggressive here because Diva's 1 HP and Reinhardt shattered everybody, and they're all low, and we're up 2 people, right? So or up 1 person, someone somewhere here that I'm missing. Oh, Mercy's up in the sky. There we go. So in this situation, probably should be getting aggressive, but we're backing up and playing passive. We also bubble when nobody's looking at us. Side set. Good melting of the targets. Good. Even if we do it straight out of Diva, it was a good job watching for them to group up and doing it on a group, which is definitely much better than a single 1-person grab like we have been getting.
Yeah.
This is a perfectly fine bubble. It is in between fights. That is maintaining your energy. You were down on HP, so that is a perfectly acceptable bubble. Very good. That bubble, on the other hand, not so great because you're 90-something energy. Don't really need what were we at? We're
Yeah, I think I
90.
was 99.
Yeah, you're
I was
99 energy,
99.
right? 97, 96.
Yeah, yeah.
So getting that 4 energy is not worth it, and then he's not immediately in need of tanking. Like, it's not like it did 0 tanking for him here, but like it would probably be much better when like
Yeah.
the
The only
Reinhards are
thing
on
that would
top of
hurt
each
him, right,
other.
was the fire strike.
Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas like let's say that their Reinhardt's like on top of him and he's swinging. Well, now this does 2 things. Not only does it negate damage for the Reinhardt, it also allows him to swing and do damage, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here it just negates a little bit of damage. You can't even swing with it. Right, like right there in that
It would be
instance.
useful
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Personal bubble there was I think one of those like pretty decent bubble usages. I think here actually I'd say pretty good because the main thing here is not the energy, it's the fact that we're stepping forwards and taking damage for Reinhardt who's low HP. Right, so this is us soaking up damage and tanking for him. So this is almost equivalent to if we gave our Reinhardt a bubble, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of right clicks when we're like right next to him. Somehow we got so far back. How did we get like booped or something?
I felt like
What?
I don't know
Oh,
what
Junkrat
stopped us.
Mine
Was it?
got
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah, we got booped really far back. Remember to like reload when they beat. Besides that, Lucio on our right, audio awareness. Right, just multiple
Yeah.
times where people are just sitting right next to us and we don't really particularly notice, and then that's a completely free kill, right? That's another part of actually being able to kill things is noticing when when there are free kills right next to us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's right there. No, we don't see it. He's like on a screen. Monkey's 1 HP 2. Okay, he's dead. Very nice job melting that down. Game bubble went like kind of a little bit of a preemptive bubble. Right, not great.
Yeah.
That one was fine. I don't know. The Reinhardt like just didn't swing for some reason, but
Yeah.
he
It looked
definitely
like he
could
was
have
gonna
swung.
swing,
Yeah,
but he didn't. Maybe
Yeah.
he dropped his shield.
that one was fine.
Ready for battle.
Get over here and heal up.
The whole team's ignoring the junk over here in the corner.
All right.
I guess I could have went up the stairs
yeah.
and try to go after him.
Exactly what I was about to point out, right? We wouldn't have a ton to fear because we're gonna have bubble and we have a bunch of extra HP on him, and we have our team support if they follow us, right? And we'll probably be once we bubble and soak up a bunch of his energy, we'll have a lot of energy to work with, so we'll probably melt him. So overall, definitely nothing to be afraid. Like again, if we're to compare our 1v1 potential here, we probably I would say have like a 75-80% chance of winning if we go and chase them if we're playing our cards right. Or if we're playing our cards right, we have like 100% chance of winning, right? Or 95%
Yeah.
chance of winning. And then if we play our cards wrong is where we go into, where we can't do it. But here, yeah,
That would
definitely.
have to be really bad to,
Yeah,
to mess
exactly.
that up.
And that's the point, right? It's almost a free win.
Yeah.
And then that staggers him. Here as well, notice that we are the ones actively pushing our team forwards into bad positioning. So remember, no man's land usage is don't want to hold in the front of it, don't want to hold in the middle, which is where we're at right now. This puts us smack dab out in the open. It gives us no cover really to work with. And it also means that they don't have to push through this long area of space where there is no cover at all, right? So remember to be keeping that in mind. We don't have to be pushing this far forwards to be able to just like poke and get a bubble off. And then Reinhardt decides to do a
Yeah.
thing.
60 seconds remaining. My ultimate is almost ready.
All right, so Reinhardt gets sped
Yeah.
on top of us.
And I'm not. Yeah.
Probably
I'm just not.
recommend like not backing yourself into a corner here. Because we like quite literally back ourselves into a corner, right? Whereas let's say we decided to instead walk right side. Well, now Reinhardt's swinging on us, yes, but then we can get healed by Ana and Mercy, and we can come and help kill the monkey who's 1 HP, right? And then we get pocketed and kept alive, and Soldier can place a health pack, and we probably have a lot more survivability, right? Whereas here we quite literally back ourselves into a corner, and then now we're out of the line of sight of all of our supports, and we don't get any team support, and nobody can help, and we can't help kill Winston, and they can't help kill Reinhardt. So whenever you are in danger, usually a very, very acceptable decision is to go to your team because they can stop you from being in danger, right? They can help
Yeah.
you out, they can support you. Here, we run away from them rather than running to them, and then that's the big old issue. And then we die. Oh, we get res.
Огонь!
Pong.
Don't count me out.
Okay, we're
Огонь
grabbing.
по готовности.
Is grab needed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. But we also have 2 people 1 HP. That sound like a rhyme. I think that's a fine grab. Maybe winnable. Maybe don't need it, but I think it's okay. Asserting dominance. We're good.
Yeah.
They also had a Junkrat coming back. Yeah, that was pretty okie day. Okay. Noticing they're pushing forwards again, and this time it's when we have 0 teammates alive and with us, right? Probably not the play, so we're essentially here. Whenever they get back, we're probably gonna be like 2v6ing, right?
Yeah.
By the time they get back to the fight here. We also do we bubble from right behind Reinhardt's shield? Couldn't tell there. I think we just bubble again because it's a soldier and he can just stop shooting at us is the issue.
Yeah. The dream of eating the helix. You know.
Yeah, which again, it's remembering it's a projectile, right? So we can, rather than trying to predict when he's gonna fire it, we want to be using it after he's fired it, with the exception of if he's like right on top of us. Right on top of us, right? Like if he's right on top of us, then you have to predict it because otherwise you're gonna take all that damage instantly.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm getting a lot better at timing the
Mhm.
like the fire strikes and like I mean the helix rockets not so much yet, but
Yeah.
fire strikes I'm learning like how to catch it right before it hits me.
Yeah.
So I get so I still have it for a little bit after, but I don't
Yeah.
know
Exactly.
if I'm gonna be perfect at it every time, but
Mhm.
it is getting better. It's improving.
Yep. Definitely seeing a lot like of technique improvements here.
Tactical visor activated. Target rich environment.
All right.
The impenetrable defense at the end, man. The 2v4.
All right. So, main kind of points that we are looking at is that I want you to be thinking through while you're playing, right? It's a kind of a 2-step process. Step 1, get energy. That means getting good bubbles. That means staying alive to get those good bubbles, right? And then step 2 is do stuff with the energy, right? And those are the 2 steps that I want you to be thinking through while you're playing. They don't both really happen at the same time, because once you cross over that line of having energy, then you want to be swapping your brain to focusing on the next one, because they don't overlap. So I don't know, because we've talked about how to focus on things. I don't know, have we talked about like how that overlaps at all, or that
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
doesn't sound, yeah. So when they don't overlap, then
You
we
can
are
focus more on that.
exactly right. You can
Yeah,
focus
yeah.
on multiple things. So it's the same concept here. Is when you are high energy, you don't need to put nearly as much attention into your bubbles, right? Because you already have that high energy, and you're probably going to stay at high energy. Because even if you get some bad bubbles, then you'll probably still stay there. Um, Whereas now you want to be moving on from step 1 to step 2, focusing on actually utilizing it. Here, I'd probably say if I were to boil it down to maybe like the 3 main things that we could have done better to properly utilize our damage, our high energy. One was target priority, making sure that we're actually shooting at things at the right times. This includes making sure we're just being the couple things, right? Make sure we're noticing the people when like free kills when they're like right next to us, making sure that we are not shooting at tanks when they're full HP and on the front lines, not shooting at the hard things to kill, and then also noticing opportunities, actually shooting at people who are low, right? So that's number 1 out of those 3 things, right? Number 2 is probably going to be aggression scaling, right? Just continuing to get better at that, recognizing opportunities, adjusting upwards with opportunities, right? Remember that all these are interconnected as well, right? You have opportunities and advantages that go up, you have disadvantages and lack of resources that go down, and they can interact with each other, right? So you could and then some overrule others and whatnot, right? It gets very complicated. So like, let's say for example, you're up 2 people, but then you know you get 2 kills, but then you're down 3 people, and then you also all at the same time you see someone who's 1 HP, but then you also notice you're 1 HP, right? So you have all these different factors that are interplaying with each other, and you have to analyze through that and kind of come up with a solution. Okay, we're up 2 people, we got 2 kills, now we're down 3 people. Okay, well, we're down 1 person, right? That's a slight disadvantage. Then we see an opportunity, but we're 1 HP, we can't actually capitalize on the opportunity. So I'd say, like, for example, the lack of resources, being 1 HP overrules the opportunity we could get because you prioritize keeping yourself alive, right? So we just want to make sure that we are keeping in mind that they all are interconnected, and it can get very complicated, and we want to just make sure we're paying attention to all those different things so that we know when should we be getting aggressive, when should we be playing passive. In general, we just sometimes we played. I'd say in general we played too passive when we should have been getting aggressive. That was the majority of the cases, and then sometimes where maybe we played a little too aggressive when we should have been passive, like in the last fight where it was like a 2v6 almost sorta,
Yeah.
and we probably should have been back and we were forwards. Now, finally, the third thing was just our distancing from our team was just we were a little far back, or not our team, the enemy team. We were just a little far back in a couple instances, so that meant that we were unable to actually capitalize and do some stuff because we were out of range of people. So be within your left click range, and then of course there's a ton of other tiny things that go into that, like staying alive and not taking damage and properly using cover and not being up in no man's land and knowing when to reload and not left clicking when you should be right clicking and not right clicking when you should be left clicking, right? All these tiny little things that we will get into, or eventually, right? Those are things that you'll slowly implement into your gameplay, hopefully. But those are the main things for the current moment. So we currently have 1 more hour, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
here for the session. So then what would you like to do
I
with
can play. We can see if my stream is
Hmm?
worth anything. Let's see. Hold on. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, 1 moment. I can't wait. Is that my stream or your screen? That is my stream. 1 moment, I have to stop streaming so I can see yours. All right. So yeah, I should be able to see yours. Why don't before you hop, if you're having stream troubles last time you did it, why don't you hop into like a training range and just hop around on that a little bit, so that we can see if it's working out well. What do you remember what the problems were when we last did it?
Just occasional graininess. I
Mm,
mean, supposedly
Double kill.
supposedly it's been fixed.
okay.
Double kill.
Okay, so as of the current moment, it looks fine. Hopefully, it won't get grainy on us though.
Quadruple kill. Double kill.
Yeah, I hopefully they fixed it. I mean, I haven't had any disconnects. Got the worst internet in the United States, to be honest with you.
Oh.
And they came out like 6 times, replaced cables going from my house to the node,
My
and
goodness.
then yeah, then it took them like 3 weeks to bury it. That didn't fix anything, so they came out and they fixed something else down the street, and so far it's been better. I haven't been disconnected, so
My goodness.
yeah,
That sounds like a
and that's been
blast.
like the last 2.5 years, so
Yeah.
really, really painful when you're in the middle of a game too. So, so we'll see how it goes. If it gets grainy, I can just restart it. I think that's what we did last time, was just restart the stream if it gets too bad for you.
All right. So, oh, we got a game. So no questions so far, yeah, or anything?
No, I think that's pretty much covering it. Yeah, I mean, like with as little as I play, it will take me a lot longer to implement everything,
Mm,
but I feel like I'm understanding more, which is,
yep.
good for me.
Yep. Slow but steady steps. Or just play 6 hours a day and you'll be good.
Yeah, and
Fast.
I've been swapping to Sigma a lot if things just don't go well here, like you know,
As
a
a
Roadhog,
secondary.
or
We are
yeah,
strong.
Quit scrolling.
as I say, a Roadhog, which
I read you.
I feel like Roadhog's really fun to play Zarya with, because I think we talked about this before. He's just a big target, so it's easy to get energy
Mm.
off of him, but it just doesn't. It really isn't. Hasn't been going well if
Yeah.
there's a Roadhog and a Zarya. Just,
Hmm. Yep. Might feel slightly better, but it's kind of a band-aid. I think we had that discussion.
yeah.
Alright, so we got some Sigma gameplay then. Have we ever discussed Sigma at all?
I think so.
Think so?
I think
If
we went
so,
over
it's
him
probably
maybe
a long
once.
one. Yeah, if so, though, it was probably a while ago. Okay, kind of same as those bubbles. Don't be like backing up when you're using that grass, because remember you get health off of that. Okay, same as bubble. We're looking to use that grasp when people are looking at us and shooting at us. Right, that way we actually soak up damage and get health as a result. Okay. As a general rule of thumb, unless you think that you can kill the Zarya, then don't shoot at her bubbles, right? If you think you can kill her because she's low, out of position, yada yada, then go and shoot at her bubbles. That's fine. Okay, right now we see we're up 2 people, so we can start upping the aggression a little bit. Noting that you cannot grasp Zarya's beam, that's not going to do anything. Still currently are up, probably could be upping the aggression still a little bit. Reinhardt's 1 HP, that's an opportunity, we could be pushing that. Okay, we're still very heavily winning this, so we should just be sprinting into them. This is the point in which we are probably at, like, very high aggression. They tranced. Now we don't want to be so aggressive. Once trance ends, we can start pushing again. They're still down like everybody, so we should just be running in, right? The big thing, like, honestly, you didn't play terribly the fight. The big thing is that we just took way too long to finish it up and kill them, right?
Yeah.
Mainly coming from the fact that I'd say the big thing was that we didn't get as aggressive as we should have in times where we should have gone aggressive, right? So there were a lot of times during the fight where we should have been at a 100%, and we were kind of sitting at like a 50, 60, something like that, right? So knowing getting aggressive when we need to get aggressive, right, is one of the names of the games. Probably could use that ult to get on top of that middle high ground there if you wanted to. Where Reaper's standing. Probably could have used our ult to get up there. Okay. Again, noting that we're up significantly, we can be pushing forwards, cleaning up those stagger kills that we wanted. And now we killed them all. You're fine. Hold up here. That's completely.
Oh, is that okay?
That's good. Yeah. So like here, holding up here is like okay. You just want to make sure your team's with you when you're holding up. Honestly, it can go either way. It's wherever you want to hold on this map, pretty much. Oh, note that you canceled your grasp with your rock, which meant that you didn't get any health from it, right?
Okay.
So that would have probably been a lot of health that you would have gained from it, and then that could have potentially saved you from the grab, right? Okay. Make sure that when your shield is not currently doing something that you're dropping it, that way it recharges and you're not just letting it sit up. Watch health bar, we want to be going and getting healed up rather than sitting at 200 HP. So that means backing up and requesting healing rather than being pushed forwards. Alright, so far, rock usage, honestly, pretty, not being perfect, but honestly looking very fantastic. Consistency is probably looking like around like a 70% are good usages, right? So the rock usage, pretty great. Grasp needs some work on knowing when we should be using it, right? It's kind of the same thing as bubble, knowing when and how we should be using it. Shield management, I haven't been paying as much attention to. But one of the big things with our shield was making sure that we are not just leaving it up when we're not using it. That was a big one. And then making sure putting it in front of ourselves and actually utilizing it. Like if I'm thinking back to our gameplay, I can't really remember us using it a ton, right? Like I can't remember us standing behind it.
Together we are strong. Get in there. Hello.
Okay, remember we're in part 1 right now. We're looking for energy. That's the number one thing we're doing. Okay, now we have a little bit of energy. We're moving on to part 2, right? Looking to capitalize with that energy. Noting that we're up 2 people right now, so our aggression can be pretty high. Okay. Now that was the perfect amount of aggression. Though once we were moving on to part 2, we just didn't press our bubble buttons. You don't need to be thinking completely and putting a ton of effort into bubbles, but still make sure that you're pressing the buttons and using them, right? That way you're not decaying and dropping to 60. You want to be actually maintaining that high energy, right, as long as possible. So good aggression, good job getting value out of it. We just want to be maintaining that energy. Right now we're back to part 1, so we're thinking through bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. Okay. great bubbles. Now we're moving on to part 2, making sure we're doing things with it. Right? We're perfect job capitalizing on that, Zarya. Right now we're up a bunch of people. Probably could just be pushing into their spawn if we wanted to right now. We're up 2 people. Reaper's 1 HP last time we saw him. Reinhardt's 1. Could honestly keep going. Could grab if you wanted there, right? Everyone's in a tiny little ball. Yep, there you go. Right, we're able to do that because we're up so many people and we have the high energy, we have the bubbles, we have the resources, right? So we can get that aggressive because we have opportunities, we have advantages, and then that's why we're able to push that far forwards, though now we could be backing a little bit. We're dropping low on energy, so right now we're back to part 1. We're looking to get back to high energy for this next fight.
I think they gave up, maybe?
They had a lever.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
So much better the game and round, right? Like that round on Zarya was much better than we had in the replay viewing, which partly is going to be due to the fact that I'm sitting here in your ear and reminding you, but the idea behind focusing on your gameplay is that your goal is to be that person reminding yourself, right? Being the
Yeah,
voice in
yeah.
your head that's going
No, I
part
hear,
1, part 2, right?
I
Go ahead.
hear you calling out even when you're not here, man. I told you that. Like I hear it. I'll listen sometimes, but I hear it.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad, right? That's exactly the goal, the idea. Yeah. So definitely much better game. We were higher energy, more of that game. Like you could probably, what was your average energy there in that game? You can
Well,
tab to the side. Average
36.
energy 36. Not the best, but like
Yeah, it wasn't.
what was what dragged it down there? It must have
I
been
think
like
that
the
that
end.
lull
Yeah,
at the end, yeah, when
at
I
the
couldn't get
end.
energy because they weren't attacking.
Yeah, the end and then maybe like that middle fight where we dragged down a little bit. So, still higher energy when we needed to be. Maintaining was the issue. And then besides that, we actually capitalized with the aggression was correct. So definitely in that situation, we were doing a lot better with analyzing the fight. So we want to keep it up.
That's the first time since I played this game that a tank asked, "Should we stay with Hog?" That was pretty nice of him. I mean, he did charge into their spawn by himself, but oh well. Hey, always like it when people do pick Ryan as their default. I definitely play better with the Ryan, and if they feel comfortable with it, it usually goes pretty well.
Okay, so firstly, we're in part 1. We probably could just be sending in some right clicks here. Probably want to be on the bottom corner with Reinhardt, honestly, because you're not going to get much
All right.
value from being on that high ground. So being on that bottom right-hand corner is just going to be where you want to be standing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yep, exactly where you're at. Perfect. And then you just toss in some right clicks, bubble when you get the chance. We're currently in part 1 mode. We're looking, step 1, looking for that energy. Okay, watch the fact that you're down your Reinhardt and we're kind of out in the open. We probably want to be backing up to that like next back corner. We got high energy, so now we're on part 2. We're looking to do stuff with it. Reinhardt's very far out of position, so yes, you can capitalize on that. That's fine. Uh-oh, he made it out. Zarya's now out of position, so that's fine to be looking at. She did push forwards a little far. Hey, maybe could be looking for Grav. Yep, perfect. Really good grab. Good job making sure you're getting more than just kind of one person in that, and it was good timing as well. Okay, noting we're still in part 2 at the moment.
Get off me, monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, I bubbled by mistake there. I could probably use it right now. Oh, I'm getting stuck on the wall.
Alright, noting that we're spending a little too much time shooting at tanks during this game. Right, some situations where it's been applicable, a lot of situations where it hasn't been. Right, so make sure that we're actively seeking out those other characters. Right, press tab, check, you know, what is going to be the easiest things on their team to kill. Probably not Monkey, probably not Zarya.
McCree.
Reaper probably wouldn't be very easy either, right? So we probably are gonna want to go like Ana, McCree, Moira are the characters in which we're trying to focus at. Right now we're in part 1, we're thinking energy, 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 getting up there. When people are looking at us, preferably. Okay.
I don't know. I can't reach that guy. Okay. You're hanging out too long in there, buddy. He's winning though, isn't he?
Okay. We're still on stage 1, we're still looking for that energy, make sure we're getting up there. Looking for good bubbles. Okay, noting that we have the Grav, so we're paying attention to that, thinking how can we use it this next fight. We're a little far out in the open, make sure we're using cover. Okay, we swap over to stage 2 now. We're looking to capitalize and do things. Good requests of healing. Okay, make sure that when we're mid-fight, we're still looking to get bubbles in there, right? As of the current moment, you don't need to be focusing, again, like I said, you don't need to be focusing solely on your bubble usage in the middle of the fight. I just want you to be pressing the buttons, because we tend to hold on to them and just not press the buttons once the fight begins. Right, so make sure once the fight starts and we're moved on to stage 2, we're still pressing the bubble buttons, even if they're not perfect. Okay, good target priority idea. Probably swap back to the Mercy. So it was a good idea to be on the Mercy, but then we kind of swap back to the Monkey when Q's still an option. Good melee.
Oh, hello.
Go for it. What is she doing? Alright, got a little ahead of ourselves there.
Yeah, I got a little aggressive there, didn't I?
Right, watch it, make sure you're going for more than the one. Watch your aggression scaling. When we can push forwards, when we can't. Energy's definitely looking solid. 50% is a fairly decent average energy to have, though it's going down now since we have 0. Remember, right now we're at step 1, stage 1. Also thinking, do we have our team here with us? I think we pushed forwards when it was just us
Yeah.
and Doomfist there. Should have mentioned that maybe slightly sooner, but I think that we didn't really have anybody there with us besides just us and Doomfist, so it was essentially a 2v6, right? So watch for that. Make sure we're not pushing into 2v6s. That's not going to be very good. Oh, okay, we're switching over to stage 2 a little bit, though we're dead.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, we just need to get back up there in energy, get back into the action. Stage 1, looking for that energy. Bubbling people are looking at us. Probably could have bubbled Reinhardt some point there. And then he actually died because we didn't. Okay, we're now on stage 2. We're looking to do stuff with it. Zarya's out of position. Probably going to be looking at her. Making sure we're still pressing those buttons. Yep, there you go. Okay, do have that Q button if we need it here. Or not even if we need it there. Okay, very
Yeah.
nice.
Save it for the next round.
All right, still looking good. Let's see. We have trying to think of what our time frame is looking like here. If you probably, hopefully, roll this pretty fast here, then we can probably get into one more before the end of the session. So, how we're gonna do it is that for this rest half of the game, I'm still gonna continue to be that voice in your head, but then for the next game, I'm gonna stop being the voice in your head and let you do that a little bit for yourself.
Okay.
And then this is going to hopefully give yourself some practice time to be actively thinking it. The one thing I will be saying is just I'll just let you know the swap between stage 1 and stage 2. I'll just relieve that a little bit from you. Right? I'll still be telling you that, but I'll leave some of the other things up to you to be thinking about. Little less micromanaging, and then I will also just, of course, be bringing up mistakes as they come along and whatnot. But this
Okay.
is just helping you transition from immediately from having me be there to having you thinking through it, whereas maybe you might not be getting that until a couple days out, or whenever the next time you're playing is, if we didn't do this.
Okay.
Okay, so right now we're in stage 1. Looking for that energy, probably could be pushed forwards a little further if we wanted to, right? Just making it easy for them to hit us. Probably hug that left wall, don't wrap so far out in the open, right? Watch our cover usage. Okay, now we're on stage 2. We're looking for damage. Playing very aggressive. We're up 3 people. We're just 100%. We're sprinting into them. Going. Think there might be one more, but I don't know. So right now we're maintaining energy. We're looking to just, maybe peek them in their spawn or something like that. Get some right clicks in there, make them look at us. Don't want to go too far, but just peeking them.
Oh, ball.
All right.
That's how we do.
All right. So aggression can still be fairly high. We're high HP on us 1 chaser.
Just try to outsmart me, man. Almost worked.
All right,
Not a smart
still
man.
very high. We can be pushing if we hear Tori roaring above us here. We can probably be going for some people. Okay. Still be pushing in and doing things. Maybe still looking for some good bubbles though. Okay. We're about to cap, so honestly, if you wanted to, you could be going for some like solo to 1-2 man grabs, like up there if you see it. Perfect. Because you're just trying to stagger them further, make it so that they don't have teammates to come back out and recontest with, is the idea. All right. How did that game and the last game feel in comparison to the last couple of days that you played?
Oh, it felt really good. Like
Yeah.
I think just a refresher and also everything that I had in my mind. It's definitely I feel an improvement, and I think that
Yep.
I'll probably go pretty far this season if I stick to it.
Yep. I mean, honestly, this like just that gameplay in the game before looked probably like 2 times better than what we saw in the replay. Just honestly, like you did so much more in that gameplay. I think what would you have, like a 40 and 2 KD or something like that? What was it? Yeah,
I
41 elims, and then what
think
you
so. 2 deaths.
two
Yeah.
deaths? That's a 20 KD. Right,
Yeah.
that's
4 deaths.
4 deaths.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, well,
10
the
deaths.
10 KD is still
Still not bad.
10
Yeah.
10 10 KD is the KD that I would consider to be carrying a game, right? That is a very don't undersell that. That is a very significant improvement, and you basically carried that game. So good on you. Look to keep that up. That's exactly what you want to be doing. Now we'll transition into you can go ahead and so we have like 24 minutes left. Trying to think here. Why not why don't you just go ahead? I think quite honestly, we like you can go ahead because like the wrap up portion should be quite simple since we've already gone over what kind of the main points are and what we're looking at, and it seems
Okay.
as though you're understanding that. So if we'll take just a minute or two to go over to review that. Shouldn't take too long.
No worries. And you can always just, I mean, if you want to, just message it to me. I'm fine with that too. I keep notes as well, but
Yep. So I will be alerting you to the step 1, step 2. But aside from that, you are a little bit more on your own with me. Not specifically, the main thing I was calling out in the last game was your aggression scaling, right? I was telling you, hey, you're up, people, you should be going. Hey, there's an opportunity, you should be going. Hey, you should probably be backing up, right? So I was telling you all that stuff. That's now more on you to be paying attention to, so make sure we're actively paying attention. Specifically, I would probably say that was one of the most significant things, right, that we're looking at that needed to be, that was having a very big impact. And that in knowing when to be more aggressive and knowing when to be more passive, it significantly improved your gameplay. So keep your eye on all that.
okay.
Good luck, man.
Thank
You're
you.
doing well. Keep it up. Okay, so just as a reminder, we're coming in. We're step 1, looking for that energy.
Whoa, hello.
Okay, we've now crossed into step 2. Okay, make sure we're not spending too much time shooting at a golden Orisa. Right, Doomfist melted 3 times faster than the golden Orisa did, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so during that fight, just proper target priority was definitely a big thing. But other than that, we stepped into a trap and walked into a bunch of damage. So make sure we're just paying attention to all that damage, playing passive when we need to, and then watching for the trap on the floor, right? All that jazz. So we're back to step 1. We're looking for that energy.
Oh no.
Alright. Reacted slightly slowly to it, as
Yeah, I
well
did.
as just make sure you're backing a little further away from your team, because we're slightly close to them, and you want to ice, kind of divide yourself from your team, which makes it so that she's only able to get one person, right, in the tire, not multiple people. Okay, we're still in step 1. Right now we're aiming to get out of step 1 is the big goal, so make sure we're looking for good bubbles. Okay, we don't have bubbles, so we can be in step 2, but we're still looking for good bubbles once we get them. Okay.
This probably isn't good.
Yeah, that is no bueno.
The Junkrat is wrecking our biscuits.
Yep, just keep in mind that, we're struggling a little bit with our energy, but Junkrat's one of the easiest characters to get energy off of, right? So keep that in mind. Look to, he's shooting in those little pellets. Look to just go and step in front of those. Yep, very nice. We're very close to being able to swap over to step 2. Okay. Remember, you're still in step 1.
I'm just trying to survive.
Request healing if you need it, then, yeah. Okay. Remember, we're in step 2. Remember to still be pressing that Q button, or sorry, the E button, even though we're in step 2. Additionally, during that fight, when right after we grabbed, we like immediately reloaded, even though we were 80 on ammo. And then additionally, we looked away from our grav, right, even though there's like a grabbed Zarya in there, right? Right now, we're still in step 2. Watch for that trap, right? Make sure we're keeping our eye on the floor. Again, team composition dictates play style. They're on a Junkrat. We look at the floor slightly more often than, or the only time we ever really need to look at the floor, right? Oh no, gotta watch for the res. Right, still won it anyways, but make sure again, remember, press tab real quick. Team comp dictates playstyle. We gotta watch for those Sombras to be hacking. We gotta watch the floor for the trap. We gotta watch the Mercy to be flying in and rezzing. Those are not things that we ever need to worry about if they're not playing those characters, right? If they're not on a
Gotcha.
character that can hack us, don't really need to pay attention to the hack. If they're not on a character who can res, then we never need to watch dead bodies. If they're not on a character who can trap you, there's no other ability in the game that forces you to look at the floor, right? So therefore, adjust accordingly. Still doing significantly better, though we were making sure we're keeping up those same concepts that we've been talking about, working on them still. Right? Sometimes where we mess up with a couple of them. Just to be expected, you're still working on it, of course. step 1 currently. Yep, almost didn't push him there, right? But it was a good idea to push him just slightly slow. Right now we're probably moving on to like step 2 once we bubble our Reinhardt.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, step 2.
Oh, he did. He did.
Alright, we're looking to probably maintain energy as of the current moment. Make sure you're not bubbling behind your Reinhardt, right? Okay, we're on to step 2 right now. We're looking for that damage.
Hello.
That is unfortunate. Oh, make sure we're looking at kill feed there. What happened? What was happening in kill feed?
Yeah, our team was getting wasted.
Yeah, the Junkrat probably like 5 6 seconds before we grabbed had tired and killed 3 people, right? So knowing that information is humongous because that makes the difference between us wasting our ultimate and not wasting our ultimate, right? Two very big, very important thing to be paying attention to. Right now we're in step 1 currently, getting those good bubbles. Okay, still in step 1. Alright, so during that fight, firstly, probably not necessary to drop off the high ground, and we also dropped into like the middle of their team, so be careful about that. Additionally, we were struggling to get our energy up, right? Making sure we're putting effort into getting people to shoot at our bubbles. We also like weren't really playing with our Reinhardt, which meant that we weren't able to bubble him, right? Couple things there to make sure we're keeping our eye on. Step 1 still, getting that energy up there. Okay, now we're on step 2. We have that energy. We're looking to go and do stuff with it.
Oh.
All right. Very nice. So now we're maintaining energy, right? Keeping it up. Very nice. Still in step 1 currently. Okay, now we're step 2. Now we're looking to do stuff. Okay, 2 things. Firstly, watch for lugging it in there. Secondly, make sure your team's able to do stuff in it, right?
Oh.
Alright, so firstly there, we chucked it straight at a D.Va's face, right? That's not going to be great because she could eat that very easily. Secondly, we did it when like our team wasn't really able to kill anybody in it. And then thirdly there, we ended up like, I think we were full energy and I think we did like a we bubbled to save ourselves, but then we kind of like stood in a bunch of damage like we needed the energy, and we didn't. We probably wanted to bubble and get around the corner and get healed, right? So we were just playing a little over aggressive, and we didn't have HP to work with, right? So
Gotcha.
50 average energy, still not too shabby at all. That is pretty good. 28 and 6 and 4 golds is very respectable. Still could be doing better, right? Could we get having a 10 plus KD like we had last game, right? So make sure we're looking to keep it up. Starting off in step 1, definitely winnable game. Okay. Don't step behind your Reinhardt after you've bubbled. Keeping our ears open where are people actually at. They were behind us the whole fight.
No.
Right, so make sure we're not standing that far out in the open, right? So firstly, that almost got us spooked off the map, and then also it just put us very far in the open where we had no cover to work with, right? Okay, next fight, step 1. Okay, we bubbled from behind our Reinhardt there. Okay, noting that we're still in step 1, so even while we're in between fights here, we're looking to gain energy. Because we don't want to be starting, we want to be, you know, getting high up before the fight starts, hopefully here, not after it starts. Good bubble, good damage. Probably could have gotten some good bubbles there on Reinhardt. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now we're on the step 2. We have energy. We can do things with it. Doesn't necessarily mean you should be pushing there. You still probably want them to be pushing to you. Okay, not sure if it was on purpose or not, but oh, I'll wait this for a second.
Battle Mercy! Battle Mercy! Oh no! Oh no! Battle Mercy! I don't want to be here anymore.
Right, who's gonna be easier to kill? A Mercy flying around and
Or
who
the
has
soldier?
self-healing, or Soldier?
Soldier for sure.
Soldier, right. So probably looking at the wrong target there. Additionally, not sure if you were intentionally looking for this, but really good job demeching D.Va and then immediately going for the Grav, right? That
Oh, yeah,
shows
she-
that you're... Yeah, go ahead.
She was right in front of me. I saw her
Yep.
breaking it up, so I was like, it's time. It's time.
Yep, really excellent timing. That's exactly what you should be doing. That bubble. We're still in step 1, so bubbles are the main goal. There we can step into that bomb if we want some extra energy, right? That's just an easy 40 energy if we just step into that bomb. Noting that we're still at 0, so we're still at step 1, trying to get that up in between this fight here.
He's really trying to get the boops, man. He really wants them. That's all he really cares about. It's like,
Very good bubble. Probably saved your Lucio there. Good kill.
Come on, I thought I hit him with it. I thought I hit both at the same time, but it got off before I did.
There, I don't think we used, like, we didn't really bubble a ton that fight. Additionally, note that you don't always have to stagger the bubbles. You can use them both at the same time. Congrats on the victory.
Thank
That's
you.
3 wins in a row. Pretty solid
Yes.
performance. Just make sure we're practicing at it. Make sure we're just trying to keep it up, keep it consistent, and get better and better. So I'm gonna stop watching there. We'll do a very quick review, quick wrap up the session. So, main points. Let's see. We did Zarya pretty much the entire time with a little tiny bit of Sigma. Bubbles. Bubbles was a biggie, right? That's step one. Make sure we're actually getting energy up there. Right, on bubbles, make sure we're not bubbling from behind Reinhardt, make sure that when we're bubbling, we're not ducking behind corners, stay out in the open for the maximum duration of the bubble. Bubble when people are actually looking at you, when they're actually shooting at you, bait them to look at you and shoot at you by kind of looking at them, shooting at them, drawing their attention, and then you can also stand still and make it easy for them to hit you with bubble. And then overall, make sure you're putting effort into it. When you do get high energy and you're in the middle of a fight, make sure that you're still just pressing the button and getting them out there, right? Because sometimes we just didn't really, like, we get into a fight and be high energy and then we just not press our buttons, right? And that's it. So make sure keep them out there, looking for high quality ones. Overall, probably bubble usage was like a medium priority for you to work on, getting consistent with it, right? Then moving on, we have your Grav usage, which honestly looked much more solid after that first replay that we went over. So when it came to grabs, make sure that we're not just trying to grab one person, but trying to grab as many people as possible, as well as make sure you're not lobbing it at a diva's face, right? There's a lot of ways to get around a diva. Look for those ways to get it around her, and then look to get as many people in your grab as possible. Besides that, all of that, grab probably went to like a low to medium priority for you to work on, especially after the significant improvement in the last 3 games over the first game, right? Moving on. Let's see, mechanics. Mechanics, make sure that we are not reloading when we are in the middle of shooting at people, right? So if you have ammo and you can be shooting at people, shoot at them. If you have free time where there's nobody to shooting at, nothing to be doing, right? You duck around a corner, you have time to reload, make sure reloading, right? So just proper reload habits, so we actually have ammo for when we want to. Besides that, make sure that we're right-clicking, left-clicking at the proper times. Right-click out of left-click distance if you can't just easily push within left click distance, right? And then also you right click to finish somebody off, right? You can right click melee, that bursts their health down and kills them extra good. Then besides that, target priority, making sure we're shooting at the right things at the right times. That's part of step 2, which we discussed. So overall, your mechanics probably went to like a medium priority. Probably a medium priority, though. Your bubble usage is probably the higher end of medium. Possibly even bubble usage might even put a medium high, somewhere around that. Then moving on, you have positioning. Positioning, make sure we're using cover. There are a lot of times where we're out in the open, so making sure we're definitely working on that one. Making sure that we are respecting no man's land, right? And not holding in the front or the middle, but we're holding at the end of them. And then also make sure that you're playing within your preferred range, which is your left click range. Play closer if possible. Try to push up within that range. Don't play so far back. And then that is about it with positioning. Overall positioning is probably like a medium priority. Then finally you have awareness. Awareness we'll do awareness / aggression actually, right? Awareness, paying attention to your health bar, requesting healing when you're low, paying attention to tab. Recommended if you're not already. Press it at least once in between every single fight. Probably more than that, though. That it tells you what characters they're running, what characters are we on, what ultimates do we have, right? Remembering that team composition dictates playstyle. When they're on Mercy, you watch for reses. When they're on Junk, we watch for the floor, etc. Additionally, make sure we're watching kill feed and what's going on there. We've already gone over that a billion times, so make sure you're just keeping that in mind. And then off of that, adjusting your aggression scaling. Other thing, just odds and ends, keeping your ears open, watching for when people are like an inch from you to the side, right? And then aggression scaling, right? Adjust up with advantages, adjust up with opportunities, adjust down with disadvantages, and down with lack of resources. And then remembering that those are all intertwined and go up, against each other, and you just have to pay attention to the situation and what the heck is happening to know what you should be doing. And then overall, that one probably went to a medium-high priority. So overall, in order of kind of how things worked, probably the number one category is the awareness/aggression. Number 2 was your ability usage. 3 was probably your position. No, yeah, but your positioning. 4 was your mechanics. 5 was your ability, or sorry, your ultimate usage. Those are all the categories and their orders and when you want to work on them. But honestly, we're also implementing like that step 1, step 2 thing, which is honestly a new thing that I like kind of came up with here, and it seemed to be working out pretty well. So we'll go with it. Honestly, I want you to be thinking about step 1 and step 2 as kind of the main priority you're working on. Particularly within step 2, the biggest thing is the aggression scaling. That's the biggest one in step 2, along with other things. And then step 1 is just making sure you're getting good bubbles in and getting high energy, right? So number 1 and 2 things to be working on. Step 1, get energy. Once you got energy, work on the aggression scaling and all the other things to actually do things with said energy, right? So that all makes sense. Any questions?
No, that's perfect.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna stop recording.